boy, these new dungeons have teeth.
Oh, really? You think they have teeth?
Yeah, they definitely were not holding back compared to the last one.
You mean dungeons, or do you mean the raids?
Yes, both of them were quite a step up compared to what we had to deal with last time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Big Cat Aethercast. I am Ray.
I am Leo.
And today we are talking about a couple of Post Endwalker subjects, specifically the Pandaemonium Raids and the Myths of the Realm Alliance raid.
Yeah, definitely a step up compared to the Weapons Chronicles, as well as, I forgot the other raid series that we have in Endwalker.
Well, the
Shadowbringers.
Eden.
Yeah, definitely a step up, I would say, from Eden, although Eden did have some teeth on it. But I would say more so compared to the Tragedy in Warlit.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, the Trial series is no longer going to be in the on the side as a side thing. It's now incorporated into the MSQ.
Okay.
So from now on, you will not be doing like the Shadows of Warlit or the Four Lords. That's going to be integrated into the MSQ.
Okay.
Which I kind of feel like is a bit of a downgrade, but at the same time,
all of you have been slacking. You need to start doing your homework.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like they basically have to make the content mandatory now, otherwise people won't do it.
Well, I mean, they learned the hard way with freaking Crystal Tower, and then they had to go back and really mandate people do that one.
Yeah, I can't blame that. But yeah, so before we get into the raid series, what have you been doing in 14, Leo?
I haven't done too much since the last time we were here. Mostly just some cleanup, going around getting my ether currents. I have decided to go ahead and pick up a new job that I am actually going to be doing for Dawntrail, and that's going to be the Viper class.
Alrighty.
And so you and I have gone through a couple. You have at least done a little bit of Viper.
Oh, Viper is one of my mains.
And I would definitely say it has... I have made comparisons. It is the DPS version of Warrior, and it has the frantic energy of being a damaging dancer.
Yes.
In terms of basically, you have bread and butter combos, which are mapped to single buttons, basically, with you bouncing between them to juggle two buffs. One that increases damage, one that increases your cooldown.
Yes.
And so...
Well, it decreases your
cooldown. Or decreases cooldown, increases uptime.
Yeah.
And so you basically start out with that 1-2-3 combo. You get your group variant. Then you start adding in a sort of free kicker, assuming that you did that you followed the combo correctly. And then you get Sidewinder.
Yes.
Which also goes ahead and does its own mini 1-2-3, except if you time it properly when you're doing your bread and butters, you get a gem.
Yeah.
And this gem then goes ahead and can be used for a special attack.
Yeah.
Which you can stack up to 2 of them as of right now because I'm level 85.
Yes, that button that you spend the gem on will actually also eventually turn into a you press it and it has 2 more buttons to attach to.
Yes, and that seems to be the thing. Is it's basically building a giant Jenga tower of DPS that you basically cash in.
And then you hit Unleash, Awaken, and you do 1st generation, 2nd generation, 3rd generation, 4th generation, and then finally a finisher. And in between those generations, you also have another button you press.
So, and you don't have to worry about it if this sounds complicated as hell, because all you have to do is hit the glowing buttons.
Yeah, pretty much. You hit 1st generation, hit another button. 2nd generation, another button. And so on and so forth.
Yes. And it's actually, not too bad, because as long as you're not one-siding your bread and butters like you would for, say, Red Mage, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And so it really is, the tutorial that they give you overcomplicates it.
Oh yeah, it does. I literally had to find a better guide for it, and I was like, oh, this is much easier now that I've put it into a simpler layout. Speaking of which...
Yes. It comes with the direction. It also makes it very blatant what your directions are when it has the flank and the
rear.
And it's the flank and the hump winder attacks. And even if you cannot read, because FF14 players have that bad history, the green ones work better on the side, the red ones work better from behind.
Yes.
And that's literally all you need to know to optimize damage.
Yeah, and even then, sometimes you just won't have the chance to just smack the button.
That being said, I will say that this seems like one of those classes that very easy to implement, very easy to fuck up.
Oh, yeah, it can be. It can be. But it's surprisingly forgiving, all things considered.
Well, it's forgiving in the sense that you're not going to suffer downtime. Or if you're out of position, you're not punished too badly. The problem is that you have no way to save yourself. Is that you have to rely on feint, arm's length,
second wind,
and your
bloodletting.
And bloodletting for recovery and to pull yourself out of bad situations.
Yeah.
You do have a rush in, but you don't have a back out directional like some of the other classes do.
Yep, you only have the rush in and you have no shields. You have no mitigation whatsoever.
Yep, so go ahead and make sure that you can out damage your opponent, otherwise you are fucked. Also, make sure to watch watch where the splash damage is coming down.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Viper is a fun class, and as I was trying to say a moment ago, getting the right button configuration can make the job seem infinitely easier.
Oh, yes.
Like how I've been doing with learning Black Mage.
Yeah, so how has that journey been?
It might be my favorite magic DPS class.
Really?
Yeah.
It also helps that you found a nice little glamour that you like.
Yes, I found a nice little slutty glamour. I've shown it to a few friends, but
much to well, you could probably put it on the screen.
I could if I remember to do it.
Yeah, we'll be sure to remind you.
It won't happen.
We'll see.
But odds are maybe I'll use it for the next outfit I put on for the title cards.
Right. Nonetheless, how would you describe, because you jumped in after the rework?
Yes, I jumped in immediately after the 7.25 rework, because before then, Black Mage was juggling multiple timers, so to speak. Mm-hmm. There was a constant timer ticking while you had Astral Fire or Umbral Ice going off, which would give you a Polyglot, which is a which is a little pip that you spend to do damage, either AoE or range, or AoE or single target. And before then, you had to balance Enochian, which was an ability that basically gave you a constant damage buff. And it was on a constant timer, and you had to keep refreshing it, so to speak, to keep your uptime. And I did not like that idea of constantly keeping two timers in your head. Mm-hmm. And so they got rid of the Enochian timer and just made it a flat damage buff as long as you're in Umbral Ice or Astral Fire. Mm. So that's a lot off my head. It's also now probably surprisingly, even though you're a fucking turret in that job, it's probably one of the more mobile DPS classes thanks to triple cast.
You also have the ability to just basically jump back and forth between your ley line.
Yes. So basically you find a spot, drop your ley lines, and you start casting a lot faster.
But if the enemy happens to go ahead and drop an AoE where your ley line is,
you have to get out of the way. And then there is a button that allows you to warp back to your ley lines. But those ley lines last 20 seconds at most, so odds are it usually will happen where you have to get out of the way, and you ain't going to be able to get back to it.
Right.
They do have in Dawn Trail, they do have an ability that allows you to retrace your ley lines after you move. Mm. So you can just resume your turreting. But again, I haven't gotten that ability yet, so I'll see how that works.
Right.
But overall, I've been enjoying the class. The quest line itself is pretty straightforward. I will say the surprising thing, basically, when you start as a thaumaturge, you're basically helping a bunch of, I think, quintuplet Lalafels.
Yes, I talked about it briefly. It's a quintuplet of Lalafels who run not just the library where they study black magic, but also it is a shrine to Null Thal.
Right.
Or at least the Thal aspect of him.
Yes.
Which is the god of death.
And so basically the plot of the thaumaturge aspect of it is basically one of the brothers can't use magic. They end up getting possessed by a void scent, and they start to hunt other mages. And so the siblings have to come together to basically help expel the demon and defeat it.
Yes.
It's very basic, very simple.
Very simple. That apparently that Lelafel also comes back in the Alchemist questline.
Maybe, I don't actually remember. But I'll have to go back and look through that. But as I was saying, then you basically...
when you get the Jobstone.
When you get the Jobstone, basically what happens is you are told to go off to find the Jobstone by someone by the name of Master Kukuruka. That's a fucking mouthful, and I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right.
Master Kuku-Kachu.
Yes. I'm just going to say Master Q.
Okay.
But Master Q has basically been locked away in a prison in Ul'dah for 100 years. And he, for some sort of penance or some sort, and he has basically told us to go out and take the blood of a void scent and sprinkle it in a void hole, and that gives us the Jobstone, to which we get introduced to an Amalja, who will come back later. But basically, we come back with the Jobstone. Master Q shows up out of nowhere, out of his prison cell, with his assistant Lalai, and they're basically saying, you are destined to become a black mage. You have no choice in the matter. Get to it. You are going to help me with something.
Okay.
And so you begin learning the ways of the black mage. And doing so, you actually learn that there is a group of beast tribe members who are also studying thaumaturgy under Master Q's tutelage. And it turns out that their ancestors actually worked with Master Q in the past.
Okay.
And so you learn black mage, and then finally it turns out Master Q needs your help with something, but it's interpreted as he's done something horrible where he's trying to unleash a void scent on the world. It turns out when you go to find him, he is basically admitting that in his thirst for power back as a young black mage, he and the three other beast tribe members' ancestors, a kobold, a Ixal, and an Amalja, there was an accident with a spell for void magic, and it fused the three beast tribes into an abomination, to which he had to seal away. And so the whole process that we've been doing this whole time is weakening the bonds on that, so we can finally confront and defeat it and put the souls of those beastmen to rest. And so you work with those beast tribes, and you defeat the abomination, and Master Q ups and dies because his duty has been fulfilled.
And so he was just 100 years, and then the age just caught up with him.
Yes. And so it turns out you've lost your fucking mentor for Black Mage.
Well, that's fantastic.
That was not something I was expecting with Black Mage.
So what happens in Heaven's Ward?
In Heaven's Ward, Lalai, his assistant, is still helping you. She has found out through some of Master Q's notes that he left behind two important tomes on black magic that need to be found. The Book of Nald and the Book of Thal.
Okay.
And so we have one of the books, but it turns out the other one has been stolen. And we end up working with a conjurer named Zaya, who does not like black magic, because black magic is destructive and technically considered heresy at this point in time, considering the War of the Magi.
Right, also considering just Ishgard in general.
Well, no, he's a conjurer from Gridania.
Oh, from Gridania, okay.
Yeah, and he's basically on the hunt for a former conjurer turned black mage who has stolen the Book of Nald, and is basically trying to create a cult.
Okay.
And so we fight the cult members constantly, but it turns out that whenever you fight the cult members, they seem to die, even though we're not really trying to do damage enough to kill them. Mm-hmm. It turns out that without a black mage jobstone, the black magics are so intense that it literally burns up the person's body from the inside out.
Well, that's dangerous.
No kidding! And Zaya is constantly berating us, saying that we're causing the deaths until he actually gets a chance to look at the fucking bodies.
Ah, of course.
He's a fucking headstrong Mikote conjurer.
I kind of feel like that does fit in with Heaven's Word themes of prejudice.
Yeah, pretty much. And from there, we eventually defeat the cult leader and get the book, and we learn our magic. Zaya is a little bit less reluctant about Black Mage, but he says the second anything bad happens, he's coming after us.
Right, of course.
But that's pretty much the Heavensward quest line. Stormblood is interesting because the spirit of the founder of black magic, Shatoto, manifests and ends up possessing Lalai.
Okay.
And ends up teaching us more black magic. But her main purpose is basically it's the memories of Shatoto that have been preserved and passed on, that so she could stop a calamity from happening in the future. Basically, in the past, a meteor came down that black mages ended up knocking off its course. Mm-hmm. But fragments of that meteor ended up coming down, raining down, and ended up being used for all sorts of golems and simulacrum and the like. Mm-hmm. But as the meteor starts coming back around, the golems start going wild, and they start attacking people, and even eventually start cannibalizing each other.
Wow!
To the point where they are actually actively summoning the meteor to go off its course and crash down into Eorzea.
Wow!
Yeah. So you have to fight that off and prevent the fall of a meteorite that would devastate the land. And yeah, that's pretty much the Shadowbringers questline. After it's done, Shatoto passes on willingly. She also insinuates that because Zaya comes back for this, insinuates that Zaya has feelings for Lalai.
Okay.
Yeah, or at least extremely cares about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, and what does the Shadowbringers epilogue give you?
It is about trying to take all the notes of Master Q and try to preserve them for future reference, to not just be sealed away and not be
used,
not be misused, but to be not only just like it's not supposed to be destroyed and hidden away or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be used for future reference so that black magic could be possibly used properly in the future, alongside white magic instead of against each other, because the clash of both of them caused the Sixth Umbral Calamity.
Right.
So basically, we literally have to go before the Lalafell Council. Do you remember Dulala, that Lalafell character from Heaven's Ward that helped us with Nanamo's bullshit?
Yes.
She's basically the judge that we had to present everything to, because she's the head of the Thaumaturge's guild.
Right, I do remember that.
Yeah, so we had to go through her and basically have to present our case, so to speak.
Got it.
All the while, Lalai is dealing with the after effects of being possessed by Shatoto, which has affected her ether.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And Zaya actually tries to help her with that. All in all, it's a very straightforward quest line. I wouldn't say it's anything super remarkable, but there is some nice aspects of it. I do like the fact that and I should also mention that throughout each of the quest lines, the Beast Tribe Thaumaturge black mages always keep coming back to help.
Oh, that's cool.
So they help with killing the cult leader. They help with the coming calamity by keeping future other golems at bay to prevent them from cannibalizing into the main one.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. So it's actually one of the few job quests that actually has like beast tribes that actually help. So that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. But
all in all, I'd say Black Mage has been a fun job to learn. I definitely see where it can be difficult to master, because I'm just throwing fireballs.
Yes. And even then, with the one mission where you played as the Black Mage from the first, that one was kind of interesting because that was the first time I got really exposed to the channel everything into it dump all your MP and then you cast freeze to get it back.
Yeah, you chug your frozen drink.
Yes,
and then you can keep spitting out more fire.
Right, it is kind of bizarre the way that works out.
I will say, there's supposed to be a rhythm to casting fireballs where you're supposed to do a certain number of fireballs,
yes.
do something else, and then cast more fireballs.
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out the rhythm.
See, that's how I feel about Red Mage, because if you get the rhythm down for your between your black spells and your white spells, it does feel much more like that. It's just, as our friend Lumi found out, you have to make sure that you're not overcasting on one element.
Yeah, I have a bad problem with doing that.
I think all red mages do, but it just comes to a matter of you need to, the reason that happens is that you'll just get a string where your red will proc the Ver Thunder or the Ver rather than the Ver Arrow or whatever.
Yeah.
Your second spell. And that usually is what sets people off in terms of, like, being one-sided.
Yeah. I don't have OCD, that's for sure, because otherwise I'd be anal retentive about keeping that shit balanced.
I tend to be that way, and I will get mad when my DPS comes off to where it's like, oh, you made me go ahead and do the extra black, yada. So, no, it just, it comes with your red mage, rapier and hat.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how to feel about Red Mage. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's not my favorite.
No, I get that. I think it requires, especially because of the fact that it does require you to go in, unlike any other magic DPS. So I do think that is going to be something that might ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, but yeah, I've now pretty much almost learned every single caster except for Pictomancer, so that might be future on the list.
Right. How is the Dawntrail patch updates?
Okay, so since we've last recorded, patch 7.3 has come out, and the trial is a bit of a nightmare.
So I have heard, like, apparently Yoshi P is taking it seriously that everyone thought the game was a little sleepy.
Yeah.
So he's catching a lot of people sleeping.
Yes, he is. And, okay, so there's this one mechanic for the trial boss, where you have to do either in or out mechanics.
Yes.
Where it'll say in, out 4 times.
Yes.
He'll show the preview. He will then do something called crop rotation, where he spins the wheel, and then it lands on one of the numbers. And you gotta remember which the number was.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So it's usually going to be either odds are in, evens are out, and so you gotta remember that, and then go in.
Gotcha.
I will say it also has a fucking Doom mechanic.
Oh, goody.
As in, you have to do a DPS check, and then run the heck out of the little mini arena that you've been put in. You have to jump from platform to platform to platform, so you can ascend out and not get doomed.
Gotcha.
Also, it has a fucking evil tank buster that'll cleave the entire field unless you move to one corner.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's got hands.
And then how is the, because I'm trying to remember, did we get the relic weapons this release?
Not yet. That's patch point 3.5.
Okay.
I've heard rumors that it might be a light farm like with the Anima relic.
Okay.
It's probably going to be a one-time thing, I think. We'll see.
And so, if I remember correctly, 7.3 is supposed to be the end of Dawntrail. Sort of we're tailing off any loose ends from the story. What's going to be happening next is going to go into patch 8.0.
Yes, that is pretty much the case. I will say Dawntrail ended on a better note than I was expecting it to.
Okay.
Because people were a little iffy with how Dawntrail played out, but I think the patches kind of helped remedy that issue. I won't say it's a perfect expansion. It is far from it. It is better than ARR. I'd say close to the level of Stormblood. Dips or rises depending on the situation. I will say combat-wise, it's probably one of the best expansions.
Yeah, I think that is more or less without saying. The way that I've been hearing it makes me think that it's probably going to be third on the list above Heavensward, above Stormblood for me. At least the way that I'm hearing it so far. I don't know anything past the 7.0 story. And I purposely been leaving myself out because I do want to sort of experience that firsthand. But I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to play out just because it seems like there's a lot there.
Yeah, there is a lot there, and I will say the thing that I'm kind of frustrated with is that we don't really spend a lot of time in Toral. It's mostly Alexandria that we spend most of the time in.
Right.
Yeah. I will say, Dawntrail is a mixed bag. It's not perfect, but I enjoyed my time with it.
I think the problem is that I don't think, regardless of where we go next, you're going to have to start from scratch, effectively. Yes. And I think that it always comes with its own inherent issues, because everyone wants it to be the same as before, and you're just not going to get that.
I think the baseline is it needed to be better than A Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
And I think it landed that.
Yeah. I don't think that that's an issue at all.
Yeah. We can build back up to peak.
Yes, but you have to give it time.
Yes.
Also, I'm just going to briefly address this because I don't think our fan base cares, but I know people were getting their... I know that people were banging their heads against the wall over the whole fucking Mars synchro debacle.
Yeah, that's a whole fucking kettle of fish.
All I have to say about that one is that mods have never been really entertained by the community. And even then, Yoshi P's stance on it was, look, you guys fucking said the quiet part out loud too much.
Yeah.
We were going to have to respond anyway. So, don't make it harder on us than we have to.
You can do your own personal mods however you want.
But don't fucking advertise it.
Yeah, don't fucking advertise it in the fucking game. Because that's apparently what a lot of people were doing.
That's
because in the Moonfire Ferry event, there was this whole big ship, this whole party boat kind of scene.
Right.
People were actually literally shouting their Mare passcodes and stuff like that out in the fucking open.
Which you're not supposed to do, you nitwits.
Yeah.
Just one of those horrible things.
So literally, they said the quiet part out loud, and people are now pissed off about it.
I mean, they do it to themselves. It's more just an annoyance because I know it was fun for the people who had mods, because then you can basically watch, you can look at your friend's stuff without needing to do screen share bullshit. But I've been talking with some friends of mine who actually are a little bit more invested, and they're like, "Oh no, we know the backups. No, we're not sharing them out loud. You get it by invitation, and you abide by Fight Club rules." Yeah,
sadly, people have not seen Fight Club.
Well, to
be honest, I haven't. Well, no, I know the first rule of Fight Club.
Again, all you need to know is the rule of Fight Club and the twist at the end, and that's all you need to know. You don't need to actually watch the film after that.
Pretty much, and I think that's probably for the best.
Yes. Anyway, the other thing that I've done, which I will briefly talk about, but it's probably going to be saved more for a future podcast, is I started the Manderville weapon series.
Oh yes, we have technically started getting Leo through the Endwalker Manderville series. We will not be talking about it now because we've only done the first 2 segments.
We've only done the first segment, and that requires you to go through Manderville proper.
Yes.
Which is going to get covered in a future podcast. But Solace it goes without saying that it is equally as mad as the regular Manderville quests themselves.
Oh yeah.
And I will say, just off of the first leg, I haven't even seen the rest of it. Just off of the first leg, I am feeling as silly as it is since Heavensward.
Yeah.
I don't think we go back to ARR. I think ARR is peak.
Yeah.
I don't think you get any higher than ARR Manderville, but we get Heavensward, which is still pretty damn good.
I will say, I think A Realm Reborn Manderville had the best case.
Yes. Well, it was a series of cases, which is what made it good, because it was basically a Phoenix Wright game's worth of cases in and of itself.
Yeah.
Whereas Heavensward and Stormblood were respectively 1 case a pop.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. and because you had, I'm trying to remember the investigator's name. From AR.
From ARR? Oh, Briardian.
Briardian. Because you had Briardian to be the Edgeworth to Manderville's Phoenix, it made their camaraderie so much closer.
Yeah. I do think I find Seer to be the most hilarious.
Seer is the most hilarious because unlike Briardian, who's trying to play everything straight, you're indoctrinated enough that you get to be like, oh no, this is fine.
Yeah.
And then you get to see Seer be completely unhinged.
And then for our straight man in Stormblood, which was Shigure, he was funny, but
he was funny, but it was more.
It was more at his own expense.
Yeah, it was more physical gags than anything else with him.
Yeah.
Which it also does work, but your mileage will vary depending on how many ball jokes you can take.
And then we had Delian in Endwalker.
We'll save him for when we actually go over his episode, but needless to say, the crafting arc is just as insane as the actual quest arc.
Yeah.
Alright, so that more or less covers what we've done in the midterms. Why don't we talk about why we're actually here, which are the raid series.
Alright, well, which do you want to start with, the Alliance raid or Pandaemonium?
I say we're going to go in order that we actually completed them, so Pandaemonium.
Alright, Pandaemonium, or as I like to call it, the life and times of La Habrea and his fucked up family.
Oh boy. So, we start off actually very innocuous, where we meet some researchers from Sharlayan who are interested in our time travel shenanigans.
Basically, they found a crystal in the life stream that we recognize as looking similar to one of the memory soul crystals of the Convocation.
And obviously the Sharlayan scholars want to know more about it, but obviously they don't have access to where these origins would have been.
Yeah,
but we do.
Literally, the crystal's saying, come to Pandaemonium, there's a great emergency. And so we basically do the time travel thing of going back in time and literally run headfirst into Themis.
By the way, the head investigator that we're cooperating with is Claudian.
Yes.
Who is presented as a sort of
eccentric.
No, well, he's an insert AUDHD. Sorry, I had to get the enumeration right. But he's an autistic attention deficit type of personality who very is interested in research, throws everything else out the window.
Yeah.
And so he is the one who gives us the lead and the go-ahead while he investigates other leads going as far as to wandering off Tazi's Law.
That comes later, but first off, we talk to Themis,
who is another moderator who's basically investigating Pandaemonium, which is apparently the research facility below the other research facility. If Elpis was supposed to be the main stuff, Pandaemonium is the high-grade do not fuck with.
Yeah, it is basically the jail cell for the concepts that are too dangerous to keep around, but still are kept around for research purposes.
They are valuable enough to be kept, but
yeah.
dangerous enough that they have to be segregated.
Yeah.
And so basically we're brought down to what everyone would imagine hell looks like.
Yeah, pretty much. It's nothing but whips and chains and cages.
Sadly, those cages are not occupied with anything, what is the point then? Like,
everything is running loose. That's why the cages are empty.
Ah, yes, that's correct. And we have our first boss fight literally within, 3 minutes of being there.
Yeah, we literally run into one of the not key wards, but one of the jailers of Pandaemonium, Eric Thonius.
Wardens. So let me go ahead and so we actually get a lot more into the ancient Latin and Roman roots here. And so a lot of the names are going to start coming up a lot more to be familiar. Themis is the name of the Roman spirit of law. And Heracthonius is one of the names of a son of Hephaestus.
Yes.
Which we'll get to the importance of that later.
But anyway, Ericthonius basically fights with chains, hot and cold, and a roulette wheel. And
but he is not And is he an actual coordinate? Is he an actual raid fight, or is he just a?
He's P1.
P1. Okay.
He is P1.
Okay.
For the record, Pandaemonium is just labeled as P1 through 12. For some reason, Arcadian is M1 through 8, 12. You know that thing,
right? Because
it's matches.
Yes.
Because we couldn't do A again because A1 through 12 is Alexander.
Yes. Nonetheless, Themis agrees that while we were in Elpis, he will go ahead and simulate allies, which is how you get your raid summons for this series. But he himself will not participate.
Yeah, he's basically too busy keeping Pandaemonium stable at the moment because the second we come in, it's clear that something is going wrong, and he's kind of taken as much control as possible of the place to keep the magics in check.
Yes. And so Erichthonius is the first fight, and upon doing so, we managed to free him from his transformation to where he explains, basically, this is supposed to be a facility run by the Keys of La Habrea.
No, the Words of La Habrea.
The Words of La Habrea,
yeah.
Who are basically an organization, which are basically the followers who run Pandaemonium, with, of course, La Habrea as its administrator.
And the second we hear La Habrea, we immediately start grimacing because, oh boy, we're dealing with this fucker.
Yes. And Erichthonius has a rather adversarial relationship with La Habrea. Erichthonius himself is kind of a chump compared to everyone else. He's basically admits that he's only got a bare fundamentals for imprisonment magics, but he's hoping that he would improve. But he's never really had a good relationship with his father. The only thing that he really finds solace in is the words of his mother,
Athena. But Erichthonius is... It's revealed kind of quickly on that Erichthonius is the son of La Habrea.
Right.
And, oh boy, I wouldn't want to be son to that man.
Right. Nonetheless, Erichthonius is devoted to the cause of the words of La Habrea, and is willing to offer his assistance in restraining the
creations that have run amok.
The creations that have run amok, as well as making sure that securing the levels so that way Themis doesn't have to.
Yeah, we're basically trying to systematically isolate the entities that have run amok, figure out what's going on, and try to get everything back in order. So. Right. The first stop is we fight against P2, the hippocampus.
Yes, which we actually fight in an actual sewer.
Which, probably the worst place to fight that thing in.
Yes. Oh, it has a lot of tide mechanics, making sure that you're not in an area with a vent when the water surges.
You have to be where the water is draining, or on a platform. And you gotta watch out for where its heads are.
Yes, multiple, because this is a two-headed creature.
Well, it's more that it splits off its head.
Oh, yes, it does that.
Yeah, it splits off its head, one goes off in another direction, and then it sprouts a new one. Which is fucking disgusting.
Yes, it is. And then at the end of the boss fights here, Erichthonius literally comes out and captures the wayward creatures like they're Pokemon.
Yeah, with the help of Themis, because Erichthonius doesn't have the full magical capacity to seal a monster.
He just knows the know-how.
Yes.
And so Themis goes ahead and offers his ether to go ahead and let Thonius actually capture them properly.
And so with that taken care of, we then begin moving on to the next one, where we go through the dungeon and we see some strange figure in the back after we were mentioned of a man named Hesperos, who was supposed to be the key ward of Asphodelos, the first layer.
Right.
Who has great respect for La Habrea and apparently was very kind to Erichthonius, apparently. Mm-hmm. But we immediately see him looking like fucking Dracula.
And he is spouting some nonsense about becoming a demigod. When did it become Helsing in here?
When did it become fucking Castlevania?
I mean, that too.
But he basically warps us into the layer of the Phoenix.
And yes, they're going with the Greek pronunciation on this one because apparently Hesperos is sitting on a pile of secrets and intends to expose them. So we still have to deal with the Phoenix first.
Which is, as I like to affectionately call, Orange the boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because sadly, the AoEs are orange, the boss is red and black, and the arena is blindingly orange. Apparently, they've patched it. I honestly couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell you either. It still looked like I was playing a fantasy version of New Vegas, unmodded. Because the modded New Vegas has like this orange filter over it, just like the Fallout 3 had a green filter over it.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, but I digress. The Phoenix actually wasn't too terrible a boss fight, all things considered.
Well, that's because we actually had people who knew what they were doing. I had to do it in current content. That was probably one of my least favorite fights.
Got it.
Also, yeah, because people would not realize that you had to basically separate the sunbirds that split up, because if you don't, they will revive one another, and you have to kill them again.
Got it.
Which is a fucking pain in the ass.
Right. And ultimately, the last fight for the wing is against Hesperos himself, who has his own sick boss music.
Hix Vent Leonis, which is one of my favorite themes from Pandaemonium. But then again, I will say at first the Pandaemonium theme is all right, but the first 3 fights are basically just like a fucking drum beat of a chant, and then all of a sudden it turns into surf rock.
Yes, it does, with a very chilling upbeat either way.
Yeah, so Hesperos' gimmick is he will lay down capes that will change parts of the arena into specific status effects, or specific effects like fire, lightning, water, poison, and you have to do the corresponding mechanic when it activates. Also,
Hesperos is the god of the evening star and the personification of dusk.
Which makes sense.
Yes, considering he's playing a Dracula, and literally would be because the evening star is also the code name for Satan or Lucifer.
Of course.
So again, lots of hidden meanings and symbolisms in there. However, we find out with Hesperos, he has been permanently transformed. Unlike the other creatures here, Hesperos has become a Hemitheos.
He is fused with one of the creations of Pandaemonium and become something more, as he likes to say. We don't get much more out of him because he literally offs himself to protect the secrets of La Habrea.
Right. Which unfortunately we are not unfortunately explained to us upon. But Erichthonios and Themis at least say for the time being that with Hesperos' demise, the first wing is at least stable for now.
Which then we immediately see that the next wing, Abyssos, is protected by a barrier, which will need to be broken.
Which will take time to which they bite us to go ahead and get some much-needed rest back in our own time before we go ahead and return.
We explain things to Claudian, we unlock the Savage version.
And we can begin the second wing, which is Abyssos.
We return to Elpis and talk with Themis, who is currently chatting with one of the words of La Habrea that's stationed in Elpis, who states that there's been a message received that everything is fine in Pandaemonium.
Right, which is what we know is an outright lie.
Yeah. So we go back in, we immediately break the barrier to Abyssos, and we immediately get warped in as we enter Abyssos into a cage to fight the Proto-Carbuncle.
Yes.
Tataru's Carbuncle got some hands.
A Proto-Carbuncle. This is what these things started out with. No wonder this thing is stuck here.
Yeah.
So, this thing deals with a lot of moving walls to go ahead and either trap you in an AoE that does a lot of damage or bounce off walls to go ahead and create reflection effects.
That's pretty much the main mechanic. The worst part of this thing is a move called Devour, which it will bounce around the arena, and if you get hit by it even once, you get lashed up by its tongue and eaten, which means it's an insta-kill.
Oh, fantastic.
You got hit by that.
Yes, unfortunate.
Yeah. I think I was tanking for most of this.
Yes, you were. I think I was either I was healing or I was DPS. I think I was healing.
Yeah, you were healing.
But while this is happening, Erichthonios is sitting on the surface, and he gets encountered by La Habrea.
Yeah, one of the Phoenix's familiars tries to coerce and use magic on Erichthonios to try to coerce him into joining La Habrea's side, but thankfully we stop him. Keep him... Actually, that happened first, then we go in and fight the Proto-Carbuncle.
Yes.
Sorry, the order of events got switched.
Yes. But, in doing so, the real La Habrea actually shows up as well.
Yeah, we actually get a double take, because La Habrea first shows themselves to us, and at first, Themis doesn't know what the heck is going on, because he should... this La Habrea should actually know who Themis is.
But doesn't.
And then another La Habrea shows up.
Calls Themis a Litibus, and is asking, what the hell are you doing with my waste of a son?
Yes. To which the first La Habrea shatters their mask and reveals themselves to be a younger version of La Habrea.
But with only half the Asian mask.
Yeah.
And then Elidibus, Themis, his real form, explains himself.
Yeah. Basically, Themis got word from Azem
that shit was going down.
And said, don't worry, a star will come down and help you along the way.
Which, of course, is Azem's code word of saying, my familiar is coming to help you. Don't question if he has when you sense my ether in him.
Which means that Vana has explained what the heck happened in Elpis to Azem. And Azem was like,
makes sense.
Cool.
Cool. I will be sure to remember that when I have to go ahead and explain to Elidibus that shit's about to go topside. Wait, what? You know, it's situations like this that really give the how the fuck Azem, Emek Selk, and Hythlodaeus ended up as friends.
They're not a friend. They're not friends. They're a fucking throuple.
That too. Nonetheless, Elidibus is like, someone is taking over identity and is fucking with my research laboratory.
To which we end up actually talking with the true La Habrea finally. And he's very similar to the way we knew him in the current timeline, but
yes.
At the same time, he's a lot different.
Yes, and we also get to see some of Erichthonios' daddy issues. Because, boy, he and La Habrea do not get along.
Basically, Erichthonius basically believes that La Habrea basically condoned Athena's demise, and he's been holding it against him ever since.
Right. Barrett, just as a refresher, Erichthonios, La Habrea, and Elidibus all belong to the Ancients race, who basically are immortal, but they basically believe that they are put on the planet to go ahead and fulfill a purpose.
For the betterment of the star.
Once they have fulfilled that purpose, it is their obligation to return back to the life stream. Basically a form of willing suicide.
Yeah.
There are exceptions, of course, for those who still have something to do but have lived out their purpose. Vana is one of these honored ones who was the former Azem. She stepped out of that position so the current Azem could take her place, but she still remains around as an advisor and general around person who sticks her nose into business because she's a busybody that way.
Yes, and she ends up becoming Heidelin.
Yes.
So she never fucking retired.
She never got to retire until we made her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dark to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, but basically...
So in a sense, Erichthonius is upset, and it's implied that La Habrea was
the reason why Athena died.
Put to rest. Not even that she was allowed to retire, but made her retire, in a sense.
Yeah, and it's pretty fucking dark, and we then immediately go against we then dive back into Abyssos to fight against one of the key wards of Abyssos, Hegemony.
Yes, because although La Habrea is the admin, this younger La Habrea has taken over control away from him, so he cannot go ahead and just reassert control.
Yeah.
Thus needing to continue the fight down the throne words, involving us having to take on Hegemony next.
Yes, and I should also mention that it's basically... that the younger La Habrea goes by the name of Hephaestus.
And that should sound a lot more familiar for those of you who studied your Greek and Latin.
Yes, the Greek god of the forge. And a real twisted monster, all things considered,
Yes.
at least in this game. But first off, Hegemony, who has been fused with some weird plant parasite.
Yes, and so we're having the Sephiroth fight version 2.0.
Yeah.
With a different soundtrack, which is equally banger, I must say.
Oh, Scream is such a good fucking song. God. I will say this, after the first 3 fights of Pandaemonium, the soundtrack just becomes banger after banger after banger. Because the Proto Carbuncle fight is a more instrumental version of Scream.
Yes.
And then the next 2 fights, Hegemony and Igdistis, because we'll be doing them back to back, are both keywords, and they both play Scream, and that is such a good song. I remember watching the trailers for patch 5.2, Buried Memory, and God, seeing that music play was like, I was just headbanging.
Yeah, and this one has a lot of moving platforms and making sure that you're out of the path of dangerous projectiles. So this one was quite fun. I remember healing for it.
Yeah, she would do rotating attacks. She has platform. She has AoEs that go off that will swap positions, so you gotta know where they're going. She will do I did mention the spin around.
Yes.
And she'll also infect you with a parasite where you have to face away from everyone to make sure you don't make anyone get in the line of sight.
Correct.
Which is fucking fun.
Mm-hmm.
But we take care of that, and we immediately, as soon as we do that, Erichthonios has a fucking mental breakdown, or crash out, so to speak.
Yeah, he crashes out because during the process, after he turned down the fake La Habrea's offer to join him, he was being forcefully converted via ether induction.
Yeah.
And so while it looked like we had stopped it, whatever hold he had initially put into Erichthonios took hold and made him crash out again.
To which he was then teleported away from us to be used as some sort of research material, so to speak. But before then, we had to fight the other head keyword of Abyssos. Igdistis.
Yes, which leads to the 7th circle fight.
The 7th circle, which, oh boy, this fight I either can go really well or really badly.
Yes, I'm trying to remember how ours went.
Oh, ours went fucking smooth as butter. You were actually saying it was one of your favorite fights.
Yes, it was. Igdistis, by the way, refers to symbolizing uncontrolled nature. It is associated with the goddess Sybil, and is apparently considered intersex.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, given it's a fucking tree that gives birth to new life on its own.
Yes. So it seems kind of like a remix of the Igdistis fight that we just did. Or
yeah.
The Hegemony fight.
Yeah, it's another play on that. And the Igdistis fight, the arena will actually shatter, and then La Habrea will literally summon chains to create a triangle-like platform for us to manipulate.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool. I like it when the arena gets messed around like that.
Yes. That said, that said, we do need to go ahead and talk with Igdistis. Her essence rematerialized, and she basically tells La Habrea, you have to tell them what the fuck was going on here.
Yeah, because she basically reveals that Athena was basically trying to use Erichthonios as a key ingredient in her master plan. It's
basically implied that he was the perfect quote unquote test subject to go ahead and do the Hemitheos experiments to make a true Theos. Yeah. That was at least her intention anyway, and to use him as a test subject, which kind of recharacterizes the doting, motherly Athena in a much more grooming tendency, which is, that's something hard to think about.
Yeah, that's kind of an uncomfortable thought, to which, once that is revealed, we basically have to go down into the deepest pit of Pandaemonium and fight Hephaestus. And
yes.
This is a fun fight.
Yes, it is. So, before we get into the fight, we do manage to stop Hephaestus from doing anything to Erichthonios. But Erichthonios is still kind of zonked out because of the crash out from earlier.
Yeah, but the fight. Oh, this is a fun fight because Hephaestus transforms constantly into weird things.
He has chains all over his body, which basically represent different transformations he's done to himself, and he basically unfurls different chains to do different attack and move combos.
One of them is a Gorgon attack, where if you're not careful, you will get petrified. The other one is a giant beast that will stomp around and push you side to side. He will summon a phoenix or a dragon that will blast against you. By the way, that phoenix and dragon is the savage mount for Abyssos.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a fun fight, and the theme that plays is actually a remix of the Ascians theme from 1.0.
Makes sense, especially since he was the first one that we fought. After we beat Hephaestus, he tries to actually shield himself with Erichthonios, which forces La Habrea to tell him the truth about what Athena was doing.
To which Erichthonius manages to break through and eventually overpower the fake La Habrea with the power of the real La Habrea, shoving that fella back into the little crystal that he came from.
Yep.
Because apparently it's soon then revealed by La Habrea that when he was talking with Athena about what the fuck she was doing with Erichthonios, she said, "Well, why don't you fuse with me and find out?"
And basically, in doing so, realized, one, he did fuse with her.
Which is similar to the thing he does in Heavensward with Aegiorn.
Right. Two, irreversibly corrupts him with whatever madness overtook Athena.
Yeah.
And in doing so, he basically decides that he would rather... He actually sundered himself effectively, because he takes the half of him that is infected with Athena's madness and isolates it into that cube, which is why it takes on the form of the younger version from him at the time that he was when he was fused with Athena. Meanwhile, he remains sane, but at half power to what he used to be.
So that is revealed, and I'm pretty sure the events that happened after that were Athena was killed.
Yes, and it's very much implied that was when he decided to stop her for good. And Erichthonius is kind of beside himself, realizing Dad was right, Mom was wrong, and everything I knew just is tits up.
Yeah, so that happens, and it looks like everything is fine in Pandaemonium now.
Yeah, so we are able to go ahead and leave B, and if anything bad happens, we can come back and check with them.
Meanwhile, I believe it was also, before we started this, I believe Claudian was on his way to Aziz Law.
Yes, because what we were trying to do with the original soul gem that they found was to try to extract more memories of it. Well, it wasn't responding outside to go to Pandaemonium, and so they thought that the only way that they could possibly awaken more memories is to go back to places where it would be able to recognize, and thus Aziz Law.
Yeah. Well, it's more like the crystal was actually giving Claudian some ideas of what to do, and it took him to Aziz Law because that is where the Heart of Sabik is.
Right. And so in doing so, he goes there, at least in this patch, but by the end he hasn't returned yet.
Yeah.
And so we go back to the main timeline, and we go ahead and we're waiting around, hoping that Claudian returns. He doesn't. That's when the researchers feel a disturbance in the elitoscope, and going down there we find Pandaemonium has moved itself into
the Ethereal Sea.
Into the Ethereal Sea, which is cause of great concern.
And that ends that half of that part of the Pandaemonium Raids. Which then, a couple patches later, we start the final leg of it, Anabasios.
So, in Anabasios, Athena herself makes herself known.
Well, first off, we see that there is a monster collecting and gathering and eating souls in the Ethereal Sea.
Yes.
To which we have to fight, which is Kokitos, or Kokaidos. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Kokaidos is usually the English pronunciation. Probably Kokitos is probably closer to the original Greek or Roman. It's basically, if you recognize that, it's a spell from Shin Megami Tensei, which derives itself from the furthest layer of hell in Dante's Inferno, which is literally frozen over because Satan is trying to free himself, and his wing beats have literally frosted the water into solid ice.
Yeah.
So frozen hell does exist. It is not exactly it is not as common as people would say it is.
Hell has literally frozen over.
Yeah, several times probably at this point. But more importantly, we have to go ahead and deal with Kokaidos because, despite all this, somehow La Habrea and Themis are still around.
Well, that's later on.
Okay.
We need to talk about the Kokaidos fight first, because it actually brings back fight elements from the Crystal Tower raids.
Yes, it does.
Because Kokaidos will actually devour a soul and take on the aspect of that person. The first one he takes aspect of is Scylla.
Yes.
The wolf-headed mage from Crystal Tower. And it does fire and ice attacks, which either shrink or grow, and it depends on which one is activated at a given time.
Okay.
And then it will then take on the battle stance of Glacia Labilis, the monk fighter.
The monk fighter, yes.
Yes. Which is pretty cool. And then finally, it takes on the aspect of the fucking King Behemoth from Labyrinth of the Ancients.
Right, which is another, again, freaking meteor nightmare PTSD moment.
Yep. Oh boy. But we take care of that, and then Athena literally introduces herself to us and say, "Do not be alarmed. You are merely here to help me with my research."
We are very alarmed, as we know exactly what the fuck you are. And she's like, "Oh dear, that's going to cause a problem. Well, you can't stop me, but I might as well go ahead and make memories of the ones that you remember from back then to assist you. Ta-ta for now."
So literally, she reveals that the crystal that we've been carrying had the memories of both La Habrea and Erichthonios, and she weaves them together with souls from the ethereal sea to basically recreate them at the last moment of the point that they were recorded.
Right.
And so we end up getting to talk with La Habrea and Erichthonios, explain what happened with the final days, explains what's happening with Athena, and it's then revealed that La Habrea is asking, "What do you know about the Heart of Sabik?"
And that causes even more PTSD for the Warrior of Light, because Heart of Sabik is what was used to power the ultimate weapon, which La Habrea, probably in his mad obsessive state after dealing with the Sundering and all the nonsense with the Ancients, probably was fully taken over by Athena's madness and decided to use the Heart of Sabik as well as ultimate weapon to guide the Garleans into the path of destruction that they also desired, to cause the Eighth Umbral Calamity.
Well, the Eighth Umbral Calamity. But, so that happens. So, while that's happening, we then approach Pandaemonium to see if we can confront Athena, to which Themis appears, who has been put under Athena's command, basically.
And basically lays out, look, you're going to have to work your magic the same way you used to. I'm going to have to probably fight you at some point, but I believe in you ultimately.
But before we fight Themis, we must fight Pandaemonium itself, which has been turned into a fucking grotesque, hideous monster with a mommy complex.
No, this is Pandaemonium Prime. Because we've always fought a prime form of whatever thing it is, and so this is Pandaemonium Prime.
I mean, in a sense, it is, but it's just called the demonic dungeon Pandaemonium.
Right. This one is very interesting. It has a lot of web attacks to try and restrain you in place, and you have to make sure you're out of the way of some very sharp cleaves.
Yeah, and it also will then start slamming its head against the arena, and you have to be at the very front of the arena, which is being slammed against, because it will then knock you back unless you use arm's length.
Right.
Because, oh boy, that's rough.
But that one was pretty fun. That one was pretty fun.
That one is fun. I've heard nightmares about the Savage version.
I believe it. Nonetheless, while this is going on, La Habrea talks to some Charlian scholars and wants to know more about what they know about the Heart of Sabik, which gives La Habrea a temporary aneurysm because then it gives questions about his own
future
operations in the future, because he kind of puts two and two together that he is not in his own time frame and things have gotten very weird.
Well, he realizes that the actual him continued on into the future and did some questionable things.
Right.
And we don't fully reveal that stuff to him until the very end, but he does say that we basically find out that Claudian has been taken by Athena, and she is using him as her stepping stone into godhood.
Yes.
Which reveals to us that Claudian is actually the sundered shard of Erichthonius.
Yes.
Which is why she's able to use him the way she wanted to.
And why he was the one who responded initially to the crystal.
Because the crystal was literally designed to find Erichthonius in the future.
Right.
Which is kind of amazing in a sense.
Right.
But with that knowledge in place, the gates to the godhood are presented to us, and we go through them to encounter Themis in the Convocation of 14 sitting chambers.
Well, that's very Kingdom Hearts-like.
God, I love this fucking fight.
It is a good fight, though. It is a very fun fight.
Oh, I should also mention that the first two fights of this dungeon has a killer rave beat.
Oh yeah, no, that rave beat is one of my favorites.
Yeah, but the Themis fight is really good in the fact that it's a redoing of the Amarat theme.
Yes.
And, whew, God, I love that fight.
It is a really fantastic fight, and even Themis just wants to give it his all, even though he is being possessed, he also just wants to go all out against you.
He's just like, my heart quivers with anticipation to fight you, because I've wanted to test myself against you since we met.
And we give him a good thrashing, what for? And although he would normally be bound to be dissipated to ether, we go ahead and give him some of ours to go ahead and have him stick around just to continue to hang out with us.
Yes, just long enough to hang around after the spell that Athena had woven on him had broken.
Yes.
But with that in place, we go into the final fight, P12, the fight against Athena, and my God, is she just nothing but a bastardization of Heidelin at this point?
Yes, she is.
Also, the culmination of all the themes of this Alliance raid culminate in her theme.
Yes,
One amongst the weary.
Yes. Which is, well, that's a heck of a theme.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm actually really eager to see what happens in the Arcadian, to see what they do with all the different themes.
Yes. That being said, the problem that we find going into this is that we still have an issue with, even though we do defeat her, she still lives, and she thinks that she's going to be able to go ahead. She's basically going to burn the entire ethereal sea to power herself. Well,
she's basically going to say, if I can't become a god, this world deserves nothing, and tries to blow up the ethereal sea, which, how the fuck are you going to do that?
Right, which is absolutely wild.
Oh, and she just literally reveals herself to be completely unhinged, and saying that if this world was truly perfect, it would give us the perfect creators, so I will become that god to give that world the perfect stewards to guide it.
Right, but in doing so, Erichthonius' memories within Athena, within Claudian, awaken and rebel against Athena.
Yeah, because the memories of Erichthonius literally fuse with Claudian through Athena, pushing Athena out, leaving her to rot away and fade to nothingness as we escape with Claudian.
Yes.
The story pretty much almost ends there as we return, as Pandaemonium is now gone, the ethereal sea is safe. And we get to see that La Habrea literally asks us, are we the same La Habrea that does this shit in the future?
There's one thing actually we did kind of overlook at one point.
Oh?
Which was, at some point prior to this moment, La Habrea does refuse with himself.
Oh, that happens later.
Oh, okay.
That happens at the very end.
Oh, okay.
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay, I was trying to remember where that comes in.
No, first La Habrea asks, are we him? Is he him? And we say yes or no, and regardless, he chooses to fade off into the ethereal sea. But there are still questions to ask, and so we must go back in time to get the last remaining answers of Pandaemonium.
Right.
Which is where La Habrea, the real La Habrea, refuses with his old memories to take care of the last lingering bits of Athena that were in hegemony.
Yes.
Which is how because hegemony was the one who ended up releasing the younger Hephaestus to cause havoc in Pandaemonium.
Yes, because she was the one who went ahead and started all this.
Yes. So he basically excises Athena's essence from her, and they basically, Laha Brea basically says, You're free of that control. I still need you to help run this fucking place. Will you help me?
Yes.
But basically, by refusing with his old self, Laha Brea is condemning his future self to become a cackling, maniacal, crazy madman.
Well, and as we kind of know from Elidibus, even back in Shadowbringers, what happens in Elpis is, or what in Endwalker, what happens in Elpis is fated to happen. There is no changing it.
Yes.
Which includes this moment.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Laha Brea decided that even so, for the safety of the star, he would refuse with himself and confront those memories, even though he would end up going mad and need to be put down with the Warrior of Light in the future.
Yes. And with that done, we then return to the present to speak with the last bits of Elidibus in the future, and we get a nice voice cutscene for once. This is actually a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
Elidibus kind of expounds, why did all of this happen? How did all of this happen? And he says, surely you must wonder what I think, given everything that's happened, because he's basically dealing with his memories from the future and the memories of the past coalescing at once inside his mind, thinking of the Crystal Tower fight, thinking of how we met in Elpis,
Right.
and basically closing the time loop, so to speak.
Yes. And when we come back to Sharlayan, eventually the Claudian sort of puts together the fact that even though he is a shard of Erichthonios, and in fact he becomes 8th shard? What was it, 8th?
I think it was only his memories that were given to
okay.
him. It was only his memories. So he's still 7 times rejoined.
He's still 7 times rejoined, but he is still Claudian, but he carrying on Erichthonios' memories. He still intends to go ahead and continue his investigations.
Which, by the way, he now holds the Heart of Sabik, which is now empty, and I believe we forgot to mention this, but basically, the Heart of Sabik somehow has ties to Ultima the High Seraph from the Evilise raids.
It's basically implied that after Evilise happened, there was after Ultima fell, somehow her essence became infused into the Heart of Sabik, which is Black Orsite, yes?
Yeah. Basically, what we're...
And Athena was studying the Heart of Sabik, and in doing so, she went mad with the desire to become a god.
Yes, and then later on in the future timeline, the Heart of Sabik was used to replicate Orsite for the Evilise raids, and that created the primal Ultima that we fight in those raids. But the real Ultima is still somewhere out there.
And the Heart of Sabik itself was rediscovered by the Garlean Empire at the urging of Laha Brea in order to use the power of the Ultima weapon, which contains the spell Ultima, to go ahead and cause destruction on the world. And now you're caught up to AR.
Yes.
Okay.
The timeline is complete.
And so the last thing that we do is the Sharlayans do want to go ahead and do something nice for Erichthonios. And with Claudian having some of Erichthonios' memories, reconstruct a little wind-up Mammoth Themis for Erichthonios.
That we send back in time to give to Eric, and that's really cute. And we also get one of our own, thankfully. Yes. But that's just a tiny little capstone that really... People were hoping they would have more lore for Pandaemonium. It was just a silly little side thing.
Yes.
But we kind of blitzed through that, so let's slow down for a second and let's just talk about Pandaemonium in general.
Yes.
How was this raid series?
It was a really good raid series. I think that it had a really good story. It was very compelling. I definitely think that it played really nicely. I think that the lore implications for it were really fun. It had a nice little time loop together, connecting it even with events, mainly connecting it to events to ARR, as well as some stuff within Shadowbringers that were kind of left hanging. We learned a little bit more about Azim and sort of his ability to perceive the events that have occurred. It's just been very interesting just to see how it all works out.
Yeah. To be honest, I find Pandaemonium to be one of my favorite Alliance raids. It's kind of tied with the Eden raids, so to speak. Because I'm not sure which one I feel... It depends on the day which one I prefer more.
I think... and this is how I would divvy it up. I think between the two, Eden has the better story. I think that even though Pandaemonium is more... it has more implications for the main plot. I think the story that Eden tells is just better. And then going into the gameplay wise, because it's new bosses, it's new mechanics, I think the fights are better in Pandaemonium. And I think that's what it boils down to. Plus, there's a lot more remixes in the original Eden, in the Eden raids, whereas Pandaemonium's all new stuff. So I think that also plays a big factor into it.
All right, sounds good. And now let's go about the fights. Which one was your favorite fights from each wing?
I think it would have to go Hesperos Hesperos for Asphodelos. I'm trying to remember the
Abyssos,
not the one after Hegemony. Agdistis, and then I would say probably Pandaemonium. It's Pandaemonium Prime for Anabasios, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
For me, it's pretty much for Asphodelos, it's Hesperos. For Abyssos, it's Protocarbuncle and Hephaestus. And for Anabasios, it is Themis and Athena, pretty much for me.
Themis is also good, I will say that.
Yeah, those are my favorite. And like I said, until I figure out how the Arcadian raids are going to end, that's still pretty high up. I think it's currently in third place because I'm not a huge wrestling fan. But I will say that the fights and the soundtrack for the Arcadian are probably the best it's ever been.
I think, so here's I'm going to tell you because I've only listened to a couple of them. I haven't seen all the fights, but I've seen Disco Frogman.
Yeah.
I've seen Honeybee.
Okay.
I saw, but I didn't get a good hear on Meadow Wolf.
Yeah.
And then, I'm trying to remember what the
Howling Blade.
Howling Blade. And then, those are the three ones that I've heard. And just off of Honeybee and Disco Bunny by themselves carry the fucking soundtrack. But I think, and I know there's people who like...
Oh, my favorite is Sugar Riot's theme.
Sugar Riot. I know fucking Jesse was talking about fucking Raging Thunder. The B6ion.
Yeah, I know. Wicked Thunder.
Wicked Thunder, thank you.
Thank you.
So I know there's like there's other ones that people have their favorites too, but honestly, the reason that one hangs out so much is that it does the personalization of does the personalization of the Eden raids, but it actually has much more variety because every wrestler, every fighter has a different personality to them.
Yeah,
and so whereas Eden is relying on nostalgia, the Arcadian is purely off of vibes.
It's vibes and personality.
Yeah, which is what wrestling 70% of it is. Like it's vibes and aura. So I think that's why that's going to be. Whether they stick the landing, we'll have to wait and see.
That is true. I think we can get you current before or at the point the Arcadian raids.
That's what I would imagine. I think that would be perfect if we could time that right. Also, as sort of a intercession, we did talk about Final. Did we talk about the Monster Hunter collab that was at the last podcast?
No, we didn't. That just came out recently.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quickly because that's also going to be a thing. So, as some of you may have known, Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy XIV have done a collaboration in the past. This resulted in Behemoth showing up in Monster Hunter World, as well as Rathalos showing up in Final Fantasy XIV as its own trial.
In Gamescom just currently released that they're doing another collab. In Monster Hunter Wilds, we are getting Omega Planetes.
Yes, which if you've played either, if you remember our Stormblood podcast on the subject, you know that's a wild fight. And even if not, Final Fantasy XVI has an Omega fight in it as well, which also equally apparently goes balls to the walls.
Yeah, I actually have not done any of the Final Fantasy XVI DLC. I really should, but again, it's such a DPS check that I wonder if I need to get practicing with the combos more.
Probably.
But Dawn Trail is getting the Arkveld fight.
Yes.
And that is coming in October. So by the time we have our next podcast, I will probably be able to fight that, and I will tell you how it went.
Yes, so that will be very interesting to see. But that one is getting released. Also, we're getting secrets in 14 as mounts. And conversely, wilds are getting chocobos.
Which is fun. And apparently Alpha and Omega are going to be in wilds.
Yes, so that's going to be fun to see their little faces in there as well.
But yeah, that's pretty much what's happening there. Look forward to it.
Speaking of Alpha and Omega, they have a little interlude of their own at this point.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's do this right before we talk about Mists of the Realm. So Endwalker gave us a little capstone quest line for Alpha and Omega. We're just going to quickly cover this. It's just something really simple.
The basic gist is that Alpha and Omega, if you recall where they were back in Stormblood, basically were wandering the world so that Omega, in his confined form, is able to go ahead and is able to go ahead and experience the world all anew, rather than having to try and go through simulations.
Well, first off, it's just thought that it's just a little toy, and that Alpha was the one seeing the world and enjoying themselves.
Right.
But it's then revealed in this quest line that Omega, after we had defeated it, managed to transfer its memory and consciousness into that little Omega toy that has been following Alpha.
Right.
And so, for this quest line, someone has picked up a picked up a signal from the Ragnarok during our trip to Ultima Thule of a message from out in space. And basically, we have no means of translating it, but Omega does.
And Omega agrees to translate, provided that we go out and give it enough experiences for it to be able to understand humanity.
Basically, it's still trying to figure out what gives us our strength, and he's trying to figure out. I kept going between he and she.
Right.
They are trying to figure out what the heart really is, and it's basically trying to figure out how did the final days affect people and stuff like that.
Right. And so we go travel through some places in Endwalker. We go back to Rei'tan. We go back to Camp Broken Glass. We go ahead and we journey and experience to see how some of the people were coping after the final days, how they are recovering from it, what makes them go on, that type of thing.
Yeah, we literally, in Rei'tan, we see the man who lost his child from that monster squishing, and how he managed to survive. We go back to Garlemald and see a soldier who is dealing with the effect that the Garlean Empire is over with, and he's just trying to go one step at a time at this point.
Right, because everyone's still rebuilding, and so a lot of the story is going to have to deal with that.
We then go to the moon to talk with the Watcher, who makes us expound upon everything that we saw that triggered the final days. We talk about Hermes, Emet-Selch, Vana, and Omega even ponders the question, who was right and who was wrong?
Right, and really I remember thinking that I don't think anyone was really right out of this situation.
They all had their own reasons, but in the end, it really depends. But they all had their own reasons, but
no one was necessarily right and no one was necessarily wrong.
Yes.
And that was sort of the hitching point for logic being like Omega.
Yeah. And it's kind of fascinating seeing a robot trying to understand what a heart is.
Right. And again, it goes beyond Dynamis. It goes beyond what it really just comes down to the essence of what it means to be human.
And Omega, somehow satisfied with this, returns to Sharlayan with us and translates the message. And it's just a simple message, wishing hope and good times and finding the light in the darkness.
To which Omega's wondering the uselessness of that message, but everyone who's been to the moon and knows that...
Everyone who's listening to that message literally looks up at the stars and is feeling something.
It's the best way I could say it, because it's immediately what came to mind was the idea of the enduring spirits. And it kind of goes back to part of... There's this one flow lyric that sticks with me the entire time. And it's of course, the whole thing about flow is that it refers to treating the cycle of life, death, and rebirth as as the water cycle.
Yeah.
And the line, I think the line basically goes, as you return to the deep in the ocean, should you sense someone going skyward with your unbeating heart, wish them well. And it's basically this idea that even out there, there's always someone who's just hoping that you're able to succeed at whatever it is, and it's just that is in a sense what the human spirit is. Although it's difficult to enunciate, it's something that Alpha is like, or something Omega's like. I believe I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yes.
It's a nice little side story. It's not a big one, but it's a nice.
It basically is another. It's a denouement for the themes of Endwalker, I think is what it is, and it incorporates them to do it,
which I like. I like that we get little side stories like this. We actually get quite a few of these in Endwalker. Another one is Tataru's Grand Endeavor. We have not done that yet. I'm going to try to get Leo to do that sooner or later. It's a bit of a long one, but it gives you a lot of nice shit.
We will go ahead and make sure to get that by the next podcast.
Yes, but that's it for that little side thing. The last thing on our list today is the Myths of the Realm Alliance Raid.
Alright, so the Myths of the Realm start off with us getting a missive from a Charlene who says that the...
well, we get a request from Cryle.
Okay.
To be honest, we had to do patch 6.1 in order to do this quest line.
But we're saving 6.1 because we haven't done anything past that point. But we did do at least up to this point, so we are going to talk about this quest line. We'll come back to 6.1 when we eventually do our patch podcast.
Basically, Cryle has basically gotten a message from Rambros.
Of the Sons of Koinak, who you may remember from the Crystal Trial raids.
Yeah, the Alliance raid.
The Alliance raid, that they have found something, someone claiming to have found a path to the Phantom Realm.
The Phantom Realm being a strange little pocket of reality that seems to appear every so often, but no one's ever been able to enter or really track down. But apparently this one traveler has managed to find a way in.
Yes, and so we meet with a man by the name of Derek, who's accompanied with the baby Oppo,
little monkey,
who goes ahead and asks for the Sons of Koinak and the students of Baldesion to investigate the Phantom Realm with him.
Yeah.
And we come across this place, and we find out that it is, first off, the Phantom Realm is real.
It is real, and it is very Greek.
And in doing so, we end up confronting actually 4 of the 12 Eorzean gods.
Yeah.
Ralgar,
Byragot,
Azima, and Nalthal.
Yep. Your god shows up first.
Yes. And so all of them come to the Warrior of Light with a simple request.
Fight us.
Or we will destroy the planet.
Or we will take control since Hydaelyn is no more.
And so it's enough to go ahead and spur the Warrior of Light into action. And thus, Graha, even though he's with us, is basically backing off for support. We go ahead and we go in with our alliance, and thus we begin Aglaya. Which is one of the 3. I believe it's one of the 3.
I think it's one of the 3 muses.
One of the 3 of the it's a name of one of the muses, and it's also a daughter of Zeus.
Yes. And so we start off with a fight against Byragot, who is pretty simple.
He's simple, but he has some very powerful lightning attacks.
Powerful lightning attacks and moving platforms that are knocked around by
hammers.
By hammers, which is pretty cool.
Yes. The second fight is against Ralgar, who has teleporting fist puzzles.
Teleporting fist puzzles and fighting on his own statue's hand.
Right. One of the other attacks he has is a knockback in which you must position yourself with one of the fingers to catch yourself.
Yep.
Because otherwise there is no barrier and you will fall off and die.
That's actually gotten a lot of people when this Alliance raid first came out.
I believe it. You are fighting through basically these high peaks of the mountain ranges of Eorzea when this is going on.
Well, no, what you're doing is you're fighting in the Heaven of Thunder for the first two gods.
In the first heaven, which again looks a very stony mountainous range.
Yeah. There's actually a full description of what each of the heavens is supposed to be, and wherever we go, they are exactly as they are depicted.
They are. You do go through a journey to do that when you're doing your Astrologian, when you're doing your first series of quests for the Astrologian 30 to 50.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
they actually take you around to sites where you can see each of the heavens constellations, and in doing so, they describe the gods as well as their heavens. And so, Beauregard and Hrothgar in the first heaven, and then you go to the second heaven, which is the heaven of fire, where you meet Azima and Nalthal.
Yeah. Azima's a real simple fight. She uses fire and fans to blow around the flames.
And then at the end, you have Nalthal, who, again, as a twin god, basically goes between two forms. We actually did the fight before encountering his main gimmick.
Yeah.
Which I have seen separately. Basically, he summons the first Sultan, as well as some...
Well, basically what happens is each of the Alliance raids will have one giant enemy to fight.
Okay.
And it'll be manifested as one of the players in the group. You have to defeat them, and they will basically act as a weight on the arena.
Yes.
He will then summon a giant scale on one side, and basically the Alliance raid has to balance perfectly the scales, or else it's a wipe.
Okay.
That is the actual mechanic.
Okay.
But power creep has actually gotten so far as to completely circumvent that final ability, and I am actually mad about that.
Right. But we go ahead. You managed to clear the fight. I'm trying to remember what In the Balance is the name of the boss fight for this wing, and it is probably my favorite song of the three. I am sorry.
I mean, I do not blame you. I do not blame you.
I am sorry. Aladdin was my favorite Disney movie, and it does absolutely sound like they just made their own Aladdin theme.
It is good. Beckoned by Moonlight is mine, but that's Euphrosyne's theme.
Right. But nonetheless, we deal with the four gods who come back and explain that they didn't actually mean to piss you off. They just needed to convince you to fight them.
Because that's what they desire. They desire someone to fight them.
And who's able to actually...
fulfill their desire.
Fulfill their desire, which they will explain once you have once you have beaten the remaining gods.
Once you've beaten the remaining gods, and once you figure it out for yourself, in a sense.
Right, because they want to trust...
Humanity
to carry on.
Yeah.
And so, Derek... is with us because he initially agrees to guide us through the domains and still will agree to do so. This is a lot of information for good old Grahatia, which he needs to go relay back to Kryl.
And we also end up getting a fellow Charlian scholar of mythology on our party after this by the name of Snowgeem.
Yes, good old Yuri reader Snowgeem. And I call her that because, boy, her reaction to some of the female goddesses really goes in his telling. But
specifically Nafika.
Yes. But we have to go ahead and we do a lot of conversing with Derek because he presents himself as a very lone wolf wanderer. He does not like the company of others. He tends to be very standoffish. He prefers to be outside of town, to travel on his own. And he almost comments about almost being annoyed that he has this little Opo following him around. Even though he does enjoy the company, he definitely prefers his own solitude.
He wants to be alone, and it'll become obvious why he's like that in the future, but for now, we end up going around trying to look at mythology on the gods in certain areas. We go to Hrothgar's Reach to learn about Hrothgar, who... Hrothgar and Beauregard literally come down as little tiny animal familiars to explain a little bit about them.
Hrothgar explains that the gods have a very strict code in which they do not allow themselves to be involved unless it's very dire circumstances, and that they generally go ahead and if they ever have to work magic, it's always in the background. Hrothgar specifically gives an example of a time a meteor was roaming too close to the Earth, and he had to steer it back.
I wonder if that's the same meteor that the Black Mages had to deal with.
I believe it might be, and that might also be the reason why hrothgar's symbol is that of a black meteorite.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he claims that at the time, some people were able to go ahead and see his presence when he was steering it, and thus it's not considered bad, but they do try to keep their presence to a minimum because some people can't see them under certain conditions.
And it's also kind of hinted that when a calamity is looming closer, the gate to the Phantom Realm becomes more and more noticeable, which means the gods can be seen more
frequently.
More frequently, yes.
We also answer the question of whether or not humans or mortals through prayer influence the gods, or whether the gods influence the prayer. And it seems to be more the former than the latter. Yeah,
basically,
from those inner acts in which people are able to see the gods, the accounts of them remain consistent throughout time.
In short, Grahatia ponders that if Dynamis actually has an influence on this, but we'll get to that later.
Right. And so, after enough research, Grahatia and the party is ready to make another expedition into the Divine Realm, to which Snowgame has been analyzing this monument in the center, a lithograph, which at the time she doesn't know what it says, but basically they know that they don't know what it says, which is at least progress, which means they need to look somewhere outside the box.
To do that, we end up calling upon one of the gods, specifically Nafika's great fat tits.
Yes, and so Nafika goes ahead and introduces her as well as the gods in her stance and says, "Come fight us if you want to know more." And thus we begin the second wing Euphrosyne.
Which, this is actually one of my favorite Alliance raids, especially because it has my fucking god on it.
Right. But first we start with the Heaven of Earth.
Which we have Nafika.
Nafika, who does a lot of wilt, bloom, wither, scythe, reaping, earth shenanigans.
Yep. Hopping between flower petals because certain effects will happen if you're not in the right color. She will disorient you, make you march in a specific way, and she will even cause earth spikes. She's a fun fight.
Yeah, but I think she's the good kind of fun. The next boss, however, we get a double fight.
Specifically with Althic and Nemea, brother and sister gods.
Yes.
One of earth at time and space, and the other of water, weaving and destiny.
Which is weird, because you would think that they wouldn't jump the gun like that, but they do have a reason for this. Althic and Nemea are brother and sister, and Nemea, by her own confession, admits that she jumped the gun because she had to go hang out with her older brother.
That, and also, if you go back to Elpis, there is literally a quest line where you deal with the people which Althic and Nemea are based off of.
Yes. I wonder why that would be.
I wonder why.
But their fight itself, it basically has a lot of similar things. You have to go ahead and watch yourself, because Nemea will put debuffs on you, and Althic will go ahead and force certain attacks on him after time has passed.
There's also a mechanic which we kind of skip over in this fight because the fight can go too quickly, but it is present in the final fight of the Alliance Raid series, which is three puddles of water will splash out and cause knockbacks in a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
Althic will actually use his time ability to speed up one of them to make that one go first instead of being the last one to go off.
And because that one gave us quite a bit of trouble in the end.
Yeah.
But that's where that comes from initially.
Yeah, but we beat them, and
we did jump over the fact that Behemoth makes its third appearance.
Yes.
Again, as a Behemoth appears as a interlude fight between Nofika and Althic and Nemea.
And there's a reason for why that Behemoth is there if you do the fucking Elpis quest line.
We are forever bound to be cursed by this monstrosity.
Yes, we are. But anyway...
But that concludes the Heaven of Earth, and we move on to the Heaven of Ice.
To which we enter and fight against my favorite god, Halone.
Yeah, a lot of people like Halone. I can understand why. But Halone does actually have a really fun boss fight. She basically uses a lot of lance attacks, either creating massive arrays of spears or just giant ones that will take up half the field.
Yep, and then she will actually do a charge attack where you have to defeat her special spears before she summons up her sword from her shield and unleash hell upon you.
Yes.
And God, I just love that fight. It is so fucking good.
It is a rip-roaring fight, and then we conclude with fighting Menfina, who not only does she have ice physics, not only does she have moon physics,
she has a puppy.
She has Dalamud, which she says we as humans ever so graciously gave to her, and now that pupper is going to maul us to death.
Yeah, that's a little funny.
Yes.
the fucking red moon of Dalamud that caused the apocalypse.
Yeah, but it actually goes ahead and it does actually mix up the fight in good enough ways.
Yeah.
It is really a good time. Between all three of the rings, I probably prefer the pacing of the second wing just because I feel it's the right pacing. One does kind of feel a bit off, especially because you really just go straight into Bergamot. Beauregard, and then Hrothgar not too much after. It just feels a bit disjunctive. I feel like between Nofika, the double fight with Althik and Nemia, and then going to Halone and Menfina nearly back to back is just the right pacing, I think.
Yeah, that one is actually pretty good. I mean, you do go to Azima and Nalthal one right after the other. The only interlude that Beauregard and Hrothgar have is that Hrothgar makes you fight one of his familiars in between.
Yes.
Which, technically, you go through two fights between Nafika and Althik.
Right.
Which, I don't know how that ends up making the pacing better, but for some reason it does.
Yeah, it feels differently. Also, you have the transforming way from the field of Nofika's Valley to the Tree of Knowledge that you fight Althik at the top of. And then you go into the Heaven of Ice. Yeah. Where you go fight out in the battlefield against her before going into the tower with Menfina. Yeah. So I think there's just also a lot more descriptiveness. I think it's too plain between Beauregard and Hrothgar, even though I think... Because you start off in daytime when you fight Azima, and when you kill her...
Well, you start off at night with Azima.
No, you start...
It's at night when you fight Azima. And then when you defeat her, the sun rises.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always interpret that differently, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go ahead and we go through that. And then...
during this whole time, Graha has been carrying around a big heavy machine to analyze the fucking heavens and the gods as we fight them.
Right.
To which, when Snowgeam goes out to get the analytic crystal from it, the gods appear and say... hey, if you want to figure out what the lithograph is all about, you need to go to the sacred stones that are littered all across Eorzea that bear the mark of the 12.
And each of the gods want to come along and stretch their legs because they're mad that Hrothgar and Beauregard managed to go ahead and do that already. Yeah. So we get to see all the gods assume their aspected forms, basically, almost like auspices. Yeah. And we already know. I'm trying to remember. I believe Beauregard is a Spriggan. Yeah. Hrothgar's an eagle. Yeah. I believe it is. Nalthal takes the form like a little mummy dude.
Yeah, and then Azima's a little meerkat.
Azima's a meerkat.
Halone's a little wolf.
It's described as a slave near, but it's a little wolf. And Nofika's a bunny. No, Menfina's a bunny.
Yeah, Menfina's a bunny. Nemia's a fish.
Althik is a golem.
Yeah.
Like a tiny golem, and I'm trying to remember what... Oh, Nofika is the flower. The little flower.
The little Spriggan seedling.
Spriggan seedling, yes.
Yeah.
And so the gods divvy themselves up with the ice aspected entities following Derek and the Warrior of Light.
Which we end up going to Menfina's and Halone's stones respectively, as well as Thaliax.
Yes. So we go do... I'm trying to remember...
We do Thaliax first, which is the one where Moonbrina's flower was left.
Right, and obviously that should bring back some feels to everyone. But then we also go to Menfina's next, which is, of course, where our boy Horsefant is rested.
Yeah.
And so we come across a man who apparently we've dealt with before, question mark?
We dealt with the cult, so to speak. I believe it was Amdapor Keep, the first run of it, where the Lambs of Dalamud were.
These are cultists who basically are
worshipped in the fall of Dalamud before the Seventh Emerald Calamity.
Right, but they also believe in Minfina embrace, and obviously take it to a little bit too far.
Yeah, and so the guy is basically saying, give me advice, what to do, I don't know what to do anymore, and
he's having a crisis naturally, especially because of the fact that we wiped out the cult, and so he's thinking that we're actually going to put him to the sword, when it's actually Derek who speaks up and says that he needs to go walk and find his own path. And in doing so, as he sort of resolves to take steps, Minfina does actually give him a little encouraging word with a little bit of magic to disguise herself, but that perkins up the man and he resolves to go ahead and change his ways.
Which is good. We then travel to check on all the others to see how they're doing.
We also do a Halone stone in which Halone kind of mentions of the fact that her worship has always been done by warriors, but it's not always. But it's up to them to ascribe to the gods what they desire.
Yeah, I believe it was Halone first, then Minfina.
Okay, yes, you're right.
Yeah, but yes, Halone talks about how the fact that she's grown more warlike as time has gone on.
And that has to do primarily because her worship is primarily done by Ishgard, which was uptaken during the Dragonsong War.
For the past 1,000 years.
Right.
So 1,000 years of prayer and fervor has seemingly changed Halone a little bit.
Yes.
Which is basically confirming the dynamis aspect of it.
Right. We go ahead and we go catch up to see where everyone else is. We go see. I'm trying to remember. We go
to check up on Kryl because she's the one we're most worried about.
Right.
And it turns out she tried to go to the stones on herself and not have the gods help her at all.
Right.
Which they obliged.
Although the misconstruing gate was initially a cause for concern, particularly for Derek.
Yeah.
Who seems to be getting a little bit more attached than he lets on.
Yeah, he kind of does.
But it goes ahead and it continues on. Eventually we do find Bergamot, who did disobey and just creep on Kryl from a safe distance to make sure that nothing bad happened to her, but still did not guide her. And eventually Kryl does go ahead and find both stones and is able to get her fragments.
Alright. And, yeah, we can do that. And so we return to the Omphalos, as it's called.
Yes.
I just want to say oomph.
Yes, the Omphalos. We don't have all the pieces yet, but we do.
We do have all the pieces, and
okay.
We end up restoring the lithograph. And Kryl reads it for us, and it basically says that this lithograph is basically a yoke, or basically a tie to the rest of the gods to keep them on their current path.
Right.
Their tie, their anchor to what they do and how they do it.
Yes. It also mentions an unnamed 13th, who is the one to go ahead and
watch over
all, which naturally means that if we're going to get to the bottom of this, we need to go speak to the Watcher again.
Yes, but that doesn't happen until the third length of this expansion. But once we have this information, Snowgame chooses to stick around to do more research on the lithograph. However, she mentions that as Derek is going away, she asks the Warrior of Light to keep an eye on him because she fears that he may just up and disappear on them one day.
Right.
Which
we go ahead and we oblige. We keep track of him. He does eventually come back as we go into the third leg of the Myths of the Realm.
To which he finally well, first off, we go to the moon to talk to the Watcher, and he says, basically, that finally mankind has achieved the means to seize their own destiny rather than let the gods command them.
And thus, they have outgrown the gods.
Yes.
And so, now it's sort of the point in which we understand the nature of them. We can kind of confirm that, at least to some degree, They are akin to the Ascians, but somehow different.
They are basically, they are akin to something like the Watcher. Memories of people from the past given a new form to help watch over the world.
Right. And thus the lithogram restrains them to their domains, effectively.
Right. And so, with that knowledge in mind, we go back to the Omphalos to find out the last remaining gods of Thaliak and Limlane are ready for the fight, and then we're like, where's Oshan?
And thus Oshan makes his appearance as Derek. He went ahead and disguised himself not only to go ahead and wander amongst man, but also guide the Word of Light to the Omphalos, so that way they could test them to see if humanity truly was ready to move on without them.
And so begins the final alliance raid, Thalia.
So with Thalia, we start off going into the Heaven of Water.
And sadly, there's only one deity of the Heaven of Water we had to fight, since Namiya decided to butt in earlier.
Right, and we go ahead and we fight against Thaliak, which is very fun, in part because of the fact that Thaliak really is a salty sea dog of a goddess. Like, if you...
No, that's Limlane.
Oh, Limlane, sorry. You said Thaliak.
Yeah, Thaliak is first. He is the god of knowledge.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
You got them flipped away.
I got flipped away. So Thaliak, his deal is that he basically will imitate some of the earlier gods' attacks.
Sort of. Basically, his big thing is geometry.
Mm-hmm.
And rotating a freaking big board of pain that you have to figure out where it's going to rotate so you can get into the safe spot, because you will be locked in place if you don't.
Right.
He will do cleaves, he will do knockbacks, and he will do what I've referred to affectionately as a geometry attack.
Yes.
Where he summons triangles that open up and fall out in the specific ways.
It kind of reminds me as like an invert as someone's take on the Proto-Carbuncle fight. Whereas instead of it being an AoE, it's a projectile.
In a sense, kinda.
Yes.
But after that, then we get to Limlane in the Heaven of Wind, because she's actually a god of wind for some reason.
Well, no, because sailing is based on the winds rather than the seas, so it would make sense that they partake to that factor rather than the other.
Right.
But
still, yeah, she is a salty sea goddess.
Yes, she's. If you made Merweb more powerful, you would basically say, yeah, you've shown the same people in the picture.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, you can said that if you do the blue kiss emote on her, she throws a dagger at you that brings you to 1 health.
Pretty much. It's a huge amount of damage.
It's hilarious. I wasn't able to pull it off, but I want to see it happen.
If I had it on my emote hotbar, I would, but I don't want to risk it. I was tanking.
Well, as the tank, you shouldn't. If a DPS goes down, yes.
Yeah.
So, but either way, she does a lot of push attacks. One of them, she will basically force you to go down a straight if you want to survive and not get, if you want to avoid getting knocked out. And then you have to run back, avoiding laser blasts. She also summons her pet sharks to attack you as well.
Yeah, they're pets, flying sea sharks. So, yeah, she is probably one of the nastier fights in this Alliance raid.
Nastier, but I think it's still fun.
Oh yeah, she is incredibly fun. And she says, "You're bloody brilliant!" And I just smile every time she says that.
Yes. She definitely probably enjoys it, probably just as much as Hrothgar does.
To be honest, if I wasn't going to have Halone as a god, I probably would have done Limlane.
I would totally see that for you. And then lastly, in the Heaven of Wind, we fight Oshan,
who has a 2-stage fight. First stage, he's using arrows to rain down on us, and even changing his position and rotating a big AoE, which is a big clusterfuck.
And then he goes giant and brings out the chains.
And if you're anywhere near those AoEs, it's practically a guaranteed one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
He summons big gusts of wind that explode when arrows pierce them. It is fun,
and I realized, Ray, why are we only 3/5 of the way through the raid series?
Oh yeah, we're back to the Omphalos. It's changed somehow.
And now we are fighting mechanized gods. I'm having flashbacks to Shadowbringers.
Yeah, we have to fight basically Bayonetta enemies.
And the reason for that is because apparently the gods planned for this the entire time, and therefore they made a god machine? Question mark?
Basically, the more we fight them, the more we diminish their essence to the point where they're basically almost ready to pass on. And so they have built basically a giant god machine that will take in people's prayers from now on and allow them to nurture the star from there on forth.
Mm-hmm.
So humans' prayers will still matter. They can still pray to their gods, and so to speak, but it will be more in their control now than it would be otherwise.
So you remember back at the end of our Shadowbringers discussion,
yeah,
where I basically said, so we're basically we're gonna have a Shin Megami Tensei moment where we fight the gods at some point. And so coming back to that now, I realized I was correct, except this is the neutral route, and therefore they're doing it for our benefit, not because fuck you gods.
Bingo.
Which has actually been a lot more inclined with at least Shin Megami Tensei 4 and 4 Apocalypse, if I recall right.
Yeah, the neutral route is kind of what you're supposed to get towards. I think I prefer...
Well, because I say specifically 4 and 4 Apocalypse, because the neutral route always has that humanity-centric focus, but fucking Strange Journey, which in my opinion is the best of the modern Shin Megami Tensei games, just turns you into Doom Guy and be an eternal Doom Guy with a computer for the rest of eternity, because you can't even die.
I think I preferred the law ending in that one of all things.
Yeah, the law ending is weird. Like again, Strange Journey is already weird as it is.
Keep in mind, it's an old game that got remastered.
Well, they did actually give new endings in Redo.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if you need to, I would say play Redo, because not only did they do difficulty adjustments, but the new endings are arguably better, or at least expand upon what the originals were.
I think my problem with Strange Journey is I just don't like the Etrian Odyssey aspect of dungeon crawling in that game.
I mean, that is kind of like how they used to do it, so you're saying you don't like the Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh, shut up. But anyway, the gods end up fusing into one hell of a clusterfuck.
Yes.
Eulogia.
So, this is just basically a victory lap of a fight.
Yeah.
Because they basically bring out, aside from having their own attacks, they basically bring out all the gods' signatures and then stack them.
Yes. Which is really fun. And, by the way, I want to see the person that manages to cosplay this fucking thing.
It's a Power Ranger of a deity. Like, it's not even the fact that they just, like, made God and called it... No. They Power Rangered this fucking design.
They literally stitched together every single aspect of these gods into one.
It is a...
They even have Dalamud on their chests.
Yes, it is a fucking Power Rangers Megazord of a deity, and the fight is just balls to the walls chaos.
Oh yeah, especially when it does the finale of the Whirl, where it's I forget what the actual name of it. It's something. I think it's Eulogian Eorzea or something akin to that.
Yes,
but it's the big attack where it does the fucking 12 big attacks from each of the gods' abilities, and then one big final clusterfuck. You were healing for that.
Yes, I was.
How'd you feel doing that?
That was intense. Honestly, yeah, no, that was really intense. Alright.
But yeah, once we defeat the gods, they begin to pass on and say that our work is done. Humanity has the reins to do what they need to do from now on. And as they pass on, they give off parting words of their respective from their respective gods, and then just before Oshan disappears as the last one, the baby Oppo cries out, and
Oshan hesitates.
To which the gods say, "You don't have to go right away. We'll wait for you in the afterlife. Live your life as a man one more time.
Mm-hmm.
This time as yourself to do whatever you want."
Yeah, and he ends up taking them up on that offer. He does impart all of his ether because he is diminished, but he is just an ordinary man by the time that he returns. And he basically just agrees to live his life out.
Yep.
We do have a little bit of a eulogy where basically he asks us to walk him out. He hadn't seen, I think, like 2 monuments that are named after gods.
Basically, there's the first thing is he takes the memories and last lingering powers of the gods and takes it to the wedding chapel in the South Shroud.
Oh yes, he takes them there, and he actually goes through and recites who the Eorzean gods were as Ascians.
Well, not
Ascians, but as ancient ones.
Yes.
And basically goes through what their lives, who they were and what their lives were like as he knew them from back then.
Yeah, and we can't really go into all of them.
The only one I will go into, aside from the fact that obviously Thaliak and Nemea were brother and sister, which again...
And worked in Elpis.
Nalthal was not 2 people, but 1 person with just a very very secretive about a second side that only Derek got to find out. And then Azima apparently was the understudy to the present Azim and Venat, because she said she wanted to be like them as she got older. It's very interesting because she does mention that if you have her at one point before the final fight, you can talk to each of the 8 gods prior to going into the final wing, and they basically will give you imparting words and whatnot.
They will quickly mention if you are their favorite, but Azima will always mention that you seem familiar to them.
Yes, and and obviously the reason for that is because as someone who
is a part of Azem,
looked up to Azem and was effectively headhunted as the future Azem after us, would have a connection.
Yeah.
Although it's never really expounded upon beyond that.
I believe another interesting one is Minfina actually was the one to figure out how to seal Zodiar.
Yes. The gods also, in some of that dialogue, also mention that there are some myths that they don't attribute to themselves. For example, one of them is that Oshan and Minfina are lovers.
Yeah.
Which they kind of say, that's what you guys said, but that's not how we are.
Yeah.
And at least it gives part of the reason why, like, there is some hard Yuri shipping going on there.
Yeah, there is.
The gods do say that Minfina is, like, the little sister of the group, but Halone obviously treats her better than the others.
Okay, there was one other god that I wanted. Oh yeah, Byragod. He actually worked under Hythlodaeus.
Yes, Byragod worked under Hythlodaeus, and I think he was, like... I think he was very close to him.
Yeah. Because if I recall right, Hythlodaeus was Chief Bureau of the Architect. So he was in charge of buildings and stuff.
Yes. And Hrothgar might have also been an honored one in that regard, because even Hrothgar basically treated Byragod as a student of sorts.
Yeah.
Not just as deities, but also in their past lives as well.
Yes. So yeah, we do that, and he gives off the knowledge. We keep that for ourselves, and hopefully that will one day be for future people to learn about, and they can learn more about the gods. We then go with Derek back to Limsa, where Graha, Kryl, and Snowgame kind of say their goodbyes, and we follow Derek to basically a place in Limsa known as, that's named after himself.
Yes.
Where he wants to set out on his journey to travel around Eorzea one last time, visiting the different sites of power for the 12 before going on his own grand adventure throughout the world.
Right.
And we literally say goodbye to him as he travels off with that little baby Oppo he was so hesitant to keep around.
Right. And that's where the Mist of the Realms ends.
What did you think?
No, honestly, that one really held up to all the hype and expectation.
Is it your favorite Alliance raid, or...
It is a really good one. I would say that probably if I could play it more often, it would be my favorite Alliance raid. But you know how that song and dance goes.
Yeah, trust me, you would be playing it a lot if you were current in Endwalker.
Let me see. Because as of right now, the Alliance raids are Crystal Tower,
the Weeping City of Mach.
Weeping City of Mach.
Evil East.
Evil East, the Tragedy of Wurlet.
No, the other one is Nier.
Oh, Nier Automata raids, yes.
Yeah, and Mists of the Realm.
So yeah, no, I would definitely say that probably it would be, Mists of the Realm, probably my favorite Alliance raids.
All right. Well, I'm glad that this expansion has been living up to the hype.
Yeah, no, it definitely has been. They definitely wanted to answer a lot of questions, get a lot of things resolved. Definitely enjoying it so far. I would say that we're more or less on track. Probably by October, I would say we would be finished, at least, if not finished with the patch stuff, at least getting through with the other content that we haven't done, which is mainly
Manderville,
Tataru's
Grand
Adventure,
and the MSQ,
and MSQ
up to 6.55.
I also want to get out at least a look back before we start doing Dawn Trail proper, because I do want to basically say, look, Dawn Trail, Final Fantasy XIV has fucking changed a lot since even we started this.
Oh yeah,
and I think that it's important that if anyone wants to get in, that there are some things I would very much do differently. There are some things that I kind of don't regret doing them the way that I did. And I think it's important that if we want to keep having people to jump in and do this, I would say that that's the way to do it. There are some things that just we have not done. We have not done anything Eureka or Boja related. You do want to try and get me into Lunar Restoration,
Cosmic Exploration,
Cosmic Exploration, and also Island Restoration.
Island Sanctuary.
Ice Sanctuary. So we have a lot on our plate that we still haven't done, that we still plan to talk about. I know I was at least fudging around with what I was going to do. I did decide that Viper is going to be my class going into Dawn Trail. I just need to level it up, which is fairly easy to do. I'm going to try and be more diligent about my side classes, because there are just some classes I'm doing just to have them at max.
Yeah.
Like the other...
Just so you can do like the role quests and stuff
No, more just so that way I can... I just want to have them up. Like, I would say that I do see the appeal to Warrior, but I like Dark Knight a lot. I might just keep the other tank classes around just because. Right. But I probably will still like be hard maining Dark Knight for the most part. DPS wise, I still got my Monk, my Red Mage, and my Machinist, and then I probably, when I have the time, I will look into seeing if I want to take over Sage with Astro, but that's another thing. What I have kind of realized is that, shit, man, I might as well just go ahead and Omnicrafter.
Yeah, that's going to be...
I feel like there's going to be, like, everyone just, by the end, you kind of just have to buckle down and say, fine, I'll be an Omnicrafter.
I mean, yeah, because once you're an Omnicrafter, you can literally repair all your gear by yourself.
Not just that, but also, like, I'm missing out on so much of Shadowbringer's Crafter Quest and Endwalker's Crafter Quests. Because, again, I only picked Blacksmith, Armor, and Goldsmith as my crafters going into this.
Yeah.
And that was mainly just because of the classes I picked. Like, the only one that suffers is my casters and Monk. All my other classes benefit from Armor and Blacksmith almost perfectly. Right. So those generally I don't have too much hang-ups on.
I think Goldsmith is good for Astrologian gear.
Goldsmith is good for the casters because it does their weapons, and it's just good in general because it gives you most of your accessories. It gives you a lot of metal accessories.
Right.
You do need Carpenter if you're going to do wooden accessories, and you need Weaver and Leatherworker for your non-metal stuff. So it kind of just makes sense. And then at that point, you might as well go ahead and get into Culinarian, Alchemist, and Fisher just because. So, you know, it kind of just perpetuates itself that if you're going to do, like, more, not, I would say more competitive, but at least more competent. If you're going to sink the time into Final Fantasy XIV, you might as well go whole hog.
Right.
But if I want to say, if you want to do more a story-oriented focus, if you just want to, like, why is everyone saying Final Fantasy XIV is one of the best stories in the past decade? What is all the hype about? I would say that the guy that I want to produce with you on that addresses that. How do you optimize without getting suckered in right away?
Yeah, because I'll be perfectly honest, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself all the stuff you needed to do to play Dragoon.
Yes, and I think there's also just a lot that granted, they finally, I think, went around to fixing things specifically for Hall of the Novice.
Yeah.
Which I think, if you're coming out clean, should make a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have to go back and, like, Duty Finder for ARR stuff.
Yeah. There is so much I would teach my old self, because I'm just looking back at how I went through the main scenario as a Dragoon, and I'm just kicking myself in the head constantly.
Yeah, and so I think that at some point that would be like a pet project to do just before we do Dawn Trail, and then we will go through that and see how that goes. As it stands, we are recording this right before 7.31 maintenance.
Yeah.
So by the time 7.31 comes out, this podcast will be up. And hopefully within the next...
Actually, by the time... This will be up way before 7.31, because we have no idea when 7.31 is coming out.
Okay.
So, when that comes out, Cosmic Exploration will be in its next phase, and then after that, it'll be 7.35, which is Manderville and the Relic Weapon series, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes from there.
Right, and I think the main is just going to be, where are we going to next? Also, we're supposed to be getting the Beastmaster limited quest.
That's not happening until 7.5.
Okay.
So that's a ways away.
Okay, but at least for the time being, we do have a lot more to cover, and hopefully we will have some things out before the end of the year.
Hopefully, yeah. We should at least have another episode up before the end of the year.
I'm seeing 2 episodes, I think, but we'll get to that.
Alrighty.
Alright, but that's it for now. This has been Leo Force.
This has been Ray.
Signing off.
Later, guys, and have a good day.